Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy CLT here. Uh, Glad we could get this matchup out there for you guys between M and Misfits, and happy Jellyfish G League here for the Rec League Week 1 series. Again, Rec League has officially started this week. They will be taking next week off for the 4th of July, but yeah, a lot of our series were absolute entertaining, and some would argue even better than some of the MSI series going on. So, glad you guys could join us here. We'll give another minute or two for people to just kind of come into the chat. I know it's a kind of an awkward time frame regarding when I casted. I was supposed to do it last night, but wife's birthday and everything else going on. Not exactly the best or most ideal weekend for me here. So, but yep, glad we could kind of sneak this in and give it to you. This will be uploaded on YouTube shortly after this cast, so teams can go out there and definitely check it out. I'll have to make a new playlist and everything, and this will also give Hairwick and Nexus something to show during the Midwest Weekly show, as we will continue to do that for the Rec League. So super excited for that to come out. But we're gonna go over here to the draft here, as Wolfer, the captain of MN Misfits, was goated enough to send these drafts over to me. So, looking at the draft here, Happy Jellyfish G League, B1ing Jinx, already showing that they're going to have a front to back like Jinx comp going on. MM Misfits then respond back with Tristana Morg. So at this time, you're thinking Morg support, but could be flexed potentially here. So, um, Happy Jellyfish then respond back with the Vagar, or with the Milio Vagar here. So Jinx plus Enchanter, we all know how devastating that can be, especially if you allow it to scale or get some early kills. MN Misfits then respond with the Karma here, so potentially a jungle Morgana here or a solo lane Morgana, which Morgana solo lane is pretty solid into Vagar. You can just walk through the cage, very difficult to gank. So, looking at the bans here, definitely some bans that are kind of centric. You got a couple mid lane bans in the Katarina mainly, so not a lot actually. But support getting attacked over here from Misfits, Nasona, and Yumi getting taken out. You see Caitlyn, Nautilus. The 4-5 bands look like to mainly be top laners, with Udyr being kind of the flex in the jungle. So Jarvan comes out from MN Misfits. So Happy Jellyfish then need to respond with some type of front line here, because they have the full back line showing, and then draft Sejuani Scion. I really love this 4-5 by Happy Jellyfish here. I think overall it's a really solid matchup. And then you see the Silas coming out here. So now we're trying to sit back and think, okay, is this solo lane Jarvan? Is this solo lane Morgana? Is this top Silas potentially? So a lot of different things potentially coming out here from Misfits. This is their first time in the league here, so we do not know too much about them, but yeah, they were very happy and very excited to join the Rec League here. So we're going to sit here and pull up this replay and see what we got. So it is a top lane Silas and mid lane Morgana. Morgana bringing Ignite, so wanting to go pretty aggressive here in lane. I do like the first strike coming out for Vagar. Excuse me. So, got the Grand Reckoning Scion here from Soup here. I think the jungler for MN Misfits probably has one of the best names I've read. Probably, maybe in this rec league, How I Met My ADC. Quite clever. I like it. But we see Arcane Comet and Ignite coming out from Karma here, so wanting to be super aggressive in lane, probably building AP instead of like a utility support here. Just waiting for this game to load up here. There we go. Alright. So we don't spoil anything. Time control's gone. Objective timer's up. I do like to zoom out a little bit. Gives me a better vantage point for these team fights here.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
So we see already posturing for
30 seconds until minions spawn.
oh, sorry. See some posturing here for some level 1 shenanigans. I think right now the Happy Jellyfish comp here on blue side wants to be walked into here when you have something like Scion Sejuani. So if there is an invade, you definitely don't want to walk into, 3 or 4 man Scion queue. But MN Misfits do not take the bait or go on the invade. So they do posture here in the bot lane and in this brush here. Potentially moving up to maybe the middle brush to get some offensive trading going here. I think the biggest thing for me is looking at these two comps is the MN Misfits comp needs to get ahead super early just because they lack the front line here. They do have some utility to help buff up, say, Silas and or Jarvan, but that's a much different front line than talking about Sejuani Scion. But we'll see what happens here. There is a lot of deterrent for MN Misfits. They can, if Sejuani or Scion ever get the jump or try to start a fight, there is some disengage, some deterrence for that in the sense of Morgana Q and just Karma overall in general. So, we'll see level 2 coming up from the top lane here. A little bit of trading. Nice trade from both sides here. Scion rocking the Grasp of the Undying here. Gets permanent health after some time in combat when he lands an auto attack. Which Scion is always a fan of the health. He gets permanent health from last hitting minions on his W as well. Nice W explosion there, so both top laners just kind of brawling. Scion will tend to come out on the better end of that due to the not only the resolve tree, but when he gets max health, it does heal him a little bit. And he has D-shield, so. Junglers doing some opposite clearing here, so Jarvan could potentially look topside here. Sejuani looks to be covering bot side. There's a ward and the tri-brush for both teams. Q landing over here by Morgana, so she gets a little bit of health back. So Morgana does have spell vamp. Oh, nice E by Wolford there, and just trading heavily into Ronin. So let's see if they may set up a top lane dive here for this Jarvan. He is chugging the last pot here for Scion, so he's going to have just a little under half health here. Red Tricket coming out of Perps here, getting that ward taken down, so a little bit of pressure, but nothing really coming from it. Having another Q land here on the Quagmire. Still, really no CS leads coming from any of these lanes so far. Just a very quiet early game, which I think both teams are pretty okay with. Be curious to see what the Veigar build's going to end up being. You know, with a fairly offensive team comp coming out of out of Misfits here. Ro, I think, has some use here. We do see Misfits though starting up this Hex Tech Drake here. So Drake that gives you some ability haste and attack speed. Let's see, they kind of drop the Drake here. Perps last hitting and ends up stealing the Drake here with a really good E smite. Jarvan ends up having to go away. A flash, first blood with a Q coming out of Quagmire. He does eat the polymorph here. Wolfer ends up TPing down here. Ends up stealing the Sejuani ult going on the Quagmire, but now he's in the backline by himself here. Does end up taking out Milio here. Tries to get away, but doesn't. LOL Cats ends up taking out Perps here. And what ends up being a 2-for-2 off of this dragon fight. So this game started to ramp up here real quickly. The biggest thing for that fight was Wolfer using the TP. So he was allowed to hit level 6 here, to where Ronan did not have the level 6 on the Scion, so could not make much happen without the ult there, especially in the middle of the fight. An Scion ult would have been really, really good. But well played for the Silas overall, stealing the Sejuani ult, going all in. Quagmire though picking up a kill or two. Sorry, just one kill. Going with the alternator here, so very aggressive start here for Quagmire. Which, without the Lost Chapter start here, I feel like Soka can attack the mana pool of Quagmire. Just keep him pushed in, keep him trying to Q minions, and yeah, be the first to move, especially with these grubs coming up. Murph, though, is going to take some poke down here while Milio's topside. Let's see if Regor sets up some wards, sitting on at least one trinket ward here. Again, Murph just eating some of this poke here. Though has refillables. There's no issue going after that. Looks like the Happy Jellyfish G League team sitting here starting up these Void Grubs here. It's Perps, Ronin, and before Dawn already started them up. Quagmire though getting hit with the Q after caging Jarvan here. And they really don't have any point of entry here, though Tristana is getting some plates down bot side. So overall, you know, we're even here in gold, but the objectives are in favor of Happy Jellyfish G League here. Wolfer trading pretty well into Ronin here. Scion ult getting stolen up. Almost nice Q here. Ronan does have to flash. So, nice pressure put on from Walford. See the traps coming out, stopping LOL Cats from advancing. Perps is down bot side. Let's see if he can make anything from here. Scion using the ult top side to get some CS. Slow coming out here, forcing the flash here. Oh, an all-in coming out of Soka here. And has the ignite, and that's Feats of Warfare coming out for Misfits. Well played there by Soka. Morgana mid is not something you play against regularly, and I do on paper see it as being a little bit of a counter pick to Veigar. But Ronan getting a plate up top side in prime position to get another plate here after a push. Going for the Hollow Radiance first, which is a respectable item. I don't think it's the greatest MR item, but when you have two melees in the top side, I think the Bomby Cinder purchase has some value here. So we do see Happy Jellyfish here trying to start up the dragon, and they've postured in a way that's going to be really hard for Soka or Jarvan to get in here. So big smite coming out of Perps here, so that's two dragons going up. Soka falling really low. Jarvan trying to delay them from getting on the Soka, and does end up causing him to back out, though he did have to burn flash.
A summoner has reconnected.
I want to see Scion kind of start to bully out this this Silas here, especially after first item. Do you see Rod of Ages coming out? Nice aggressive posture here from Regor. Immediately the ult comes out, but Murph returning quite a bit of damage here. You see a blasting one coming out. Jinx getting jumped on here, having to burn barrier and flash, but Milio using the shield onto Murph here ends up falling. So really nice solid 2v2 out of Misfits here in the bot side. And they're going to pick up this plate. Get a little bit of time for the second one. Nice Scion ult to get out of the gank here topside. Soka is up top. Unfortunately, the Q does go wide. We see Soka actually buying the Luden's Companion here, so interesting build here coming out. While Luden's Companion is really solid here when you're looking at the frontliners that are going to soak up a lot of the cooldowns, your ults, they're going to stand in front to make it difficult for you to land Qs in. I think Blackfire Torch has a little bit more value here, but we'll see. If he ever catches Veigar in the side lane, though, I think the Luden's Companion does help out in that regard. We see Scion here bullying out Silas. But Jarvan ult used top lane. Wolfer ends up taking Ronan's ult here. And it will end up falling to this gank here. Ronan passive though. Getting some CS. A couple of stacks. See the Q coming out from Soka. Does quite a bit of damage here, though Quagmire is in the area. Morgana ult does get used, but they get out of the tether. Oh, but we see them jumping on the Quagmire here. Now remember, he doesn't have Roa either, so this is going to be... Oh, Lord, what return damage coming out of Quagmire. That's the Luden's Companion we were talking about. Wasn't going to be able to do that return damage with Roa. Jinx ult ends up going, but Wolfer ends up coming down from topside and flashing in to finish off the kill onto Sejuani here. So we see, for the most part, the main carries out of Misfits have quite a bit of gold in their pockets. You know, 2-0 on Tristana, 2-0 and 3 on Morgana, 3-1 and 1 on this Silas top here. So it's not early, it's noon. Come on, souls. Ooh, big damage coming out of Karma here. We see Karma going just straight up like mage build. I see a lot of trading up here coming out of Silas and Scion, but ultimately not much going to come from it. Scion does get some grasp stacks coming. Stun coming out here from Quagmire, and then he flashed away from the Morgana ult. This Morgana pick is putting quite a bit of pressure on the map overall. It's 9 a.m. Bro, it's 12:15 where I'm at. It ain't that early. But we do see Misfits taking their first dragon of the game in this Cloud Drake, which Cloud Soul will be the map. Coming out. So we see Misfits here having about a 2,000 gold lead, just a little bit under. Quagmire though on his stacks, 132 on the stack, so respectable amount. Doing a really quite a bit of damage with this Luden's Companion here. We'll see what he goes second item. I would assume Storm Surge. Oh Lord, Milio taking a boatload of karma damage here. Flashing forward here, but doesn't look like anybody else is on the same page. Soka is going to end up coming in and picking Quagmire off on the rotation, the bot lane here. So, but with that first turret, we see Feats of Strength going over to Misfits. Nice Q coming out of Soka here. Jarvan invading a little bit here. Picks up the Gromp. So, right now looking at where these team comps are, I'm pretty concerned with the Veigar build. Only just because he's easily picked out on the side lane. See, ult coming out here as Soka Senior just ends up going all in And getting another solo on the Quagmire here. But this does leave Murph and Dawn in this bot lane chipping away at this turret here. They do have 3 grubs. So in another wave or two, Wolfer won't be able to save this turret. What's up, Soka? How you doing, bro? See, it's Morgana mid pick, man. It's making me kind of want to try this in the Vagar. I see the theory. So, having a really solid start here. 20-minute mark, 4-0-3. Malignant's completed here by Karma, so gonna have a lot of these ult Qs coming out in rapid succession here. Otacon will be spawning in the bot lane. Perps, though, trying to stop the invade here from Jarvan. It ends up getting him off of the Raptors. So we'll see what happens here. I feel like there's going to be a big team fight over either this Cloud Drake or Otacon potentially afterwards. We'll see. I do like the Otacon posture or team comp for Happy Jellyfish here, especially having 2 tankier members. Being able to zone control quite a bit. Though Ronan getting jumped on here, he does have some MR built, but ultimately flashes out. And here's Wolfer standing in front here. Nice sidestep from the flag, but overall did not dodge Soka's Q here. So having one of these big frontliners down hurts, but Wolfer getting jumped on. Jinx ult coming out here. Perps ends up living thanks to before Dawn. Quagmire flashing over, getting the Q on the Jarvan here. And now, without their jungler, this is going to be really hard to play here. We do see Regor coming out, having a decent amount of damage, but unfortunately ult Q's Otacon here to piss off Casper. But with the jungler down here, they definitely get this dragon. Jarvan's still down for 10 seconds. They can go after Otacon, but it's going to be really hard to walk. Regor, being as annoying as a Karma can be, does flash forward, but gets stunned by Quagmire here. Murph jumping on him. Now Murph's kind of here in the front line. Ronan, though, TPing in, and now I think they have tempo here to go after Otacon, but overall they're all still fairly low. So getting a quick back in, which them backing those gives Misfits time to go after this Otacon here. They do have a really solid Otacon take. It's pretty quick overall. Jinx ult coming down. Quagmire going top lane. May have to burn the TP. Not sure what the comms were with this one. Oh, but Perps walks right in and steals the Otacon. Big steal for the side of Happy Jellyfish.
A summoner has reconnected.
So, we did see Ronan had some issues. A little bit of background in this game was Ronan lost power, actually. So, for about 20 minutes, this game was paused. I will say, we give teams 15 minutes each game for their pause. So much love for Misfits to allow some of their pause time to go over to Happy Jellyfish, and you'll have a really clean, just smooth game. Didn't have to 45 it or anything. So really, really big props to them. Before Dawn getting jumped on here, but ends up getting out. Oh no, the Tristana bomb ends up getting that one there. So Milio burning ult and everything else to get out of there. Unfortunately, still falls here. 3-0-1 on the Cats here. Soka on 4-0-5 here. Has 2 items completed. They are sitting on feats of strength as well. So we're going to have to see how this mid game goes. I do like the Storm Surge second coming out of Veigar here. Stun coming out, and Quagmire picks up 1 here off of that Scuttle Crab take. Quagmire sitting on 197 AP, 517 total. Is pretty massive for him right now in this mid game. He's already got a needlessly large rod coming out, so definitely going towards the Death Cat, which is a big spike here. With Jarvan being down, they did posture and start up this Baron here, but I don't think they're going to take well getting poked out here. So they did just back off from this. Riftmaker getting completed from Wolfer, so definitely building a little more frontliney, like AP Bruiser-ish. Still doesn't have the resistance to just like steal an ult and throw himself in there, but can stall and soak up some cooldowns. Oh, I think he's happy he missed that E there. Misfits just kind of posturing, daring Happy Jellyfish to walk into the topside jungle. Though there's only 1 camp up. Ronan did have a chance to push in this bot side wave. Now he is on 2 items with the Unending Despair. I do like the kind of spec into Grievous Wounds. I think 1 source of them early is pretty useful. Though Perps has completed his Thornmail, which I'm not big fan of completing it 2nd or 3rd. I think it's more of like a 4th item here, but we'll see how this comes out. It does give a respectable amount of armor here, so 75 armor is still pretty good overall. Ronan, though, charging up the Q, forcing the flash out of Tristana here. We do see Jarvan getting stunned up by the cage, and Storm Surge is going to end up taking out Jarvan. And that was also Ronan now ulting in. Murph big stun coming out of Quagmire. Massive stun and a double kill coming out. And Wolfer ends up getting 1 back, but this is going to be Dragon Soul here for the side of Happy Jellyfish G League. What a nice big turnaround here, though. Gold is still even, but this Dragon Soul is going to make up quite a bit of difference here. You know, Jinx enjoys Cloud Soul. Milio definitely enjoys Cloud Soul. Veigar does. I think the only one that's not the greatest fan of Cloud Soul is Sion, because he's still charging while the Cloud Soul active is procced up. So do you see Death Cap completed here now? Check on Quagmire's AP as he has 857. He's going to have a big fat nuke here on R, 850 base with 1700 max. That's going to be difficult to walk into. See very limited MR coming out here. Though we do see Soka getting jumped on here. And also, we missed it here. Let me go back. Um, Quagmire. Oh, Lord. Bye-bye, cats. So with their 2 backline carries gone, this is definitely going to be a Baron for Happy Jellyfish. Let's see if Jarvan can try and take it. Is getting zoned out. Ronan doing quite well. Getting rid of that blast cone here. And, oh man, well played by Ronan to stall out and prevent Jarvan from getting close there. I do like the trade back here in the mid lane coming out of Rigor and Wolfer here. You know, getting this mid turret. They don't just quite get it, but getting some damage here. I love the idea, for sure. It's something we've seen a lot in the Sweat League finals from Femboys, where if they don't have tempo for an objective, they're pushing lanes. They're making sure minions are getting sacrificed to turrets, and the experience and gold there on the map gets doesn't go to the enemy team. So, but this late game comp here, you've got the Scion, you've got Veigar, you've got Jinx. I guess is starting to come online. We see them now up a little over 2,500 gold. Oh, excuse me. So we'll see what happens. Karma, though, we see the AP damage was really, really annoying early, but Karma's starting to fall off a little bit here with levels did not continue to come in. Oh, we do see an ult coming out from Wolfer onto Murph here, but Milio ult comes out to get him out of that. Soka's here in the back line trying to do what he can. Perps, though, forward. Now getting zoned out here, and Katz is going to end up taking him out, though. On the other side, Soka gets taken out, and here comes this big Scion here. So, ends up being a 2 for 2, though the Jinx does get taken out. I don't believe this is an end, and yeah, it's definitely not an end angle. The Quagmire, you are on the wrong side of this one. Guess not. Oh, man, Jarvan taking a lot of poke here. Yeah, it's just really hard to walk into to Veigar if you're the Misfits comp here. They don't have the hardest engage in the world. What they do have in the Jarvan, there's not much follow-up unless Wolfer finds those kind of angles here, so... I am impressed though with the Morgana and the Sylas solo lanes here. I think this has potential to work out. Just maybe not into something as late game as a Veigar. We also though see Soka falling behind here in the CS. He's down 2 levels here. So I know all this fighting, he has to be there to try and buff up the divers, but definitely wanting to pick up maybe some side lane farm here. That's where I think he can beat Veigar until, you know, say the death cap spike. So it's a really hard thing to play here once you're even at about 20-25 minutes into Happy Jellyfish's comp, because your instinct is like you want to slow down the game and try to get some resources, but then slowing down a game versus Jinx, Veigar, Scion is not ideal. We do see the ult coming out. Nice return damage coming out here. We do see Quagmire getting jumped on by Soka. And overall, nice pick on the Quagmire. Really nice Seeker's Arm Guard active. And Soka ends up landing one onto Milio here. So we see some fight coming out of this Misfits comp here. Cat's doing a really good job chopping down Ronan. We have Elder Dragon up in 20 seconds. Quagmire will have TP. Milio will be able to walk there, but might be a few seconds late. I do like them getting the setup here. So, oh, excuse me. You see Soka, though, getting jumped on here. Gregor helping him out. Oh, but Soka gets stunned up and one shot by Quagmire here. Elder Dragon at half health. Ronan spearing this, frontlining this charge here. And this could potentially be now an Elder Dragon for Happy Jellyfish. Murph staying on it. Perps also staying on it. Ronan just beating this big, beefy front line. And here comes Jinx passive. Elder Dragon taken by Happy Jellyfish. Jinx passive popping off here with the burn. Milio passive also playing a factor here. And Murph ends up running down the rest of the members here. And this is going to be an end angle for Happy Jellyfish here. So, really nice showing here, game one, for both sides, to be honest. I think people are going to have to put some respect on this Morgana mid here. And use it potentially maybe as a flex pick here. And I like the Silas also flexing as well. I just think Happy Jellyfish, especially in the draft, had some solid answers. And they built a really cohesive team comp around this Jinx and playing front to back here. So, I do apologize. I did not get a chance to change this over. So, I will tweak this real quick. But that is Happy Jellyfish G League taking game one. And a really back and forth game here. Look at the gold graft here. Yeah, it wasn't until their comp came online here at the 28-minute mark off of this Cloud Drake. Actually, that was Cloud Soul here. So, really solid game overall here. We're going to go back over here to the draft. And here is the game 2 draft. Moving right along here. And Misfits, again, taking red side here. So we see the Hecarim coming out for the side of Happy Jellyfish. So already showing that they want to engage. They want to bring the fight. Coming up. So Misfits, though, take the Elise and the Thresh here. So already showing that Elise jungle is most likely going to be the option. Unless we have some wonky solo lane Elise play here. We have seen Elise support showing up all over the world here. So, Happy Jellyfish responding with the Sivir Lulu. So we've seen some consistencies here with Happy Jellyfish's comp as they love to play crit-based late-game ADCs with enchanters here, which I think is absolutely the way to go. If you know what your team is good at, build around it. And in this case, I love the ability to be a little more defensive on the Sivir with the spell shield. She does get enhanced movement speed, so overall, I like it. If you're going to leave a backliner kind of on the island as you go forward, Sivir is one of the better ones to do it with. But we also see Ezreal then coming out. Ezreal probably just a comfort pick. I know some ADCs I've talked to are not a fan of the Ezreal and the Sivir, but there's still worlds where you can poke in lane. Maybe attack the Lulu with the Thresh hooks and everything else. So, we do see with this Hecarim coming in that they Misfits banned Galio. I think that was a really smart ban here. Get rid of the Hecarim Galio comp. We see some standard bans coming out of Happy Jellyfish, so they don't want to see the Lux. In this case, it's probably a Lux mid, so Soka probably really proficient at this Lux mid and wanted to get it off the table. See Darius and Renekton, just two premier top laners getting taken out. So Misfits end up taking the Ahri here. Really solid general pick. Does well with Elise, but it's not the greatest. Elise can kind of fill the spot of like a Vi with Ari as far as the setup. And both of those champs are really hard to walk into, especially with the Thresh pairing with it as well. So Misfits definitely wanting to move forward, but also like control the vision, control pockets, and play a pick comp here. Happy Jellyfish responding with Diana and Tom Kench. So Diana, another kind of just go forward bash brother with Heckram here, and Tom Kench providing the super tankiness that you want, but also can bring this unique property like a Shen, where they can be defensive and play for the AD carry quite a bit here. And then Mordekaiser coming out. I love this Mordekaiser pick here. You know that there are not only options that they go forward, and if they overstep, Mordekaiser ult comes out, but also separating the Lulu and the Kench from Sivir. You know, he has his abilities to ult whoever he wants, and he wins the 1v1 against most of them on equal playing field. So this Mordekaiser pick to me really really cemented what Misfits wants to do here. So let's go ahead and load into this game. Let me bring up the chat here. So glad you guys could join us today. Alright, we are loading in here. So Quagmire going with the Ignite on the Diana, so he wants to be super aggressive in lane compared to, you know, what he had last game in the Vagar. So I think Diana is actually, I would argue, I thought she was in a bad spot here, but I think Diana players know how to get the best out of her, and if they can get ahead, they can really start to control a game, and especially in she's sidling super well compared to most mages. So we're gonna sit back here and see how this turns out. This is kind of one of those games where I feel like whichever team gets ahead can really cement their map pressure quite a bit. You know, if you're Happy Jellyfish's comp, you can pick and choose engages so much better,
30 seconds until
and
minions
Sivir is able
spawn.
to fight back against stuff like Mordekaiser. But if Misfits does get ahead, it is very difficult to walk into their comp. So, do you see the invade coming out here? Typical for team comps with hook champs, you know, Thresh, Blitz, Nautilus to engage quite heavily.
Minions have spawned.
So they have a pretty good idea that there's a ward on the Raptors here. So let's see how this gets used with Elise being on the bot side here. This ward does give off quite a bit, though Elise doesn't really like taking Raptors that early here. She wants the W, the Spiderling explosion. Quagmire getting the going 6 for 6 on the first wave. Nice. Ronan looking to go in for a trade. Wolfer ends up sidestepping the Abyssal Passage here, but trading back. Ronan taking a pretty heavy trade here from Wolfer. See, potentially Ronan does have shield, but does not have to use it. So, with that bad trade though, going to force Ronan to take a very early back. Do you see Hecarim in the area, but gets spotted on this ward here? Nice charm coming out of Soka here. Overall, really nice trade back here on this Ahri. And you see the junglers both posture in mid here, probably just seeing if something's gonna happen. But at least though, pathing away. We do see Hecarim burning the ghost here. Perps ends up just getting a little bit of poke damage. Oh, spell shield used here, but polymorph coming out. Hook does go wide. But we do see Elise pathing topside here. Ronan already had to burn his TP. So this would be devastating for him if he ends up falling here. He does not, but Wolfer can push this in and potentially force him to miss minions, or at least make a decision here. Actually, Ronan healed up quite well after that trade. Oh, we see an all-in coming out of Wolfer, flashing forward after trapping Ronan in the ult here. Ronan trying to get away here, flashing away, and does not fall. So Summoner's used up topside, but no first blood getting drawn yet. You see a massive trade here in the mid lane as both mid laners looking. Oh, but a stray Q coming out of Quagmire ends up grabbing Soka here in an intense 1v1 duel. Ronan's Abyssal Passage does end up going a little bit to the side here, but we see the ult coming out, and then Wolfer getting punched around here by Perps. So we see Wolfer potentially is going to fall. It will fall here, and Ronan does end up picking up that one. Elise, though, sneaking this dragon here. Really nice opportunity. to grab up this dragon. So Happy Jellyfish having a much better start to this game compared to last game. The last game they were on a much more scaling comp. I think right now the top side of the map for Happy Jellyfish, they definitely want to fight, want to brawl here. They have the late game insurance and Murph down in this bot lane. Spell shield coming out from Murph here as Regor was looking for a hook. Nice trade from Soka here. Been very impressed with both of these mid laners so far this series. Ronan just kind of bringing the brawl over to Wolfer. That kill going over to Ronan was pretty clutch. Because if you can get ahead of Mordekaiser as a tank, you can fight back quite easily. And also the fact that the top side of the map is 100% AP, all three of them. Nice charm coming out of Soka here, though. Quagmire ulting over, and I don't think Soka was expecting that kind of damage to come out of Quagmire. Had the ult and flash away from that last Q, so sees a lot of fighting here in this mid lane. But this 1v1 was kind of brought upon by Soka. Diana's just one of those mid lane champs where like you have to read the cooldowns. You know, if she throws a Q and misses it, then that's your window for fighting. But here's Elise up top. Biding time. Wolfer though, ulting in. I don't know if burning the ult here was the best idea, especially when you had Elise here on the other side. I think if he tries to Abyssal Passage away, then maybe you pull the ult there to try and stop him from going under the turret. But if not, I think you just leave it be. It's like now would be a really solid time for the ult. Ronan though channeling the Abyssal Passage. Wolfer flashing forward to take this fight here. Ronan popping the shield. Both top laners are super low. Oh, and the flash Q goes to the side for Ronan. And both top laners just walk away with less than 10% health here. Storm Surge getting completed by Quagmire is a big purchase. But still eating a lot of poke from Soka. Flash getting used by Quagmire. Ahsoka ulted forward for the charm. Little touch of a CS league growing from mid, and counter CS league from jungle here on both sides. But gold ends up being 2K in favor of Happy Jellyfish, so they're definitely getting the better part of the laning phase. Let's see what happens. Soka completing the Luden's Companion here. It's quite interesting. I think this is an angle for Malignance just because you want the mobility against Diana Hecarim here.
Turret plating will soon fall.
But we'll see how this ends up panning out as the game goes on. Flash forward coming out. Murph has to flash away. Perps here though. Burning Ghost and ult on the LOL Cats. Barrier comes out of Ezreal. Ends up walking away, but Rhaegar taking a boatload of damage, and Murph ends up getting the Feats of Warfare with that third kill. Ezreal comes out. TP's coming down from the top laners. We have a full 5v5 in the bot lane. Well, not Quagmire, but we have a 4v5 here in the bot lane. As a part of the Misfits comp has to walk away from here, and this gives Happy Jellyfish tempo for their first dragon. So, a lot going on here. If Diana had TP, I think this would have been a much different fight as she's quite ahead. But we see Quagmire all-ending Soka and getting one back here. Ronan getting all in by Wolfer here, but the Unending Despair is going to keep him pretty healthy. He can actually sit back here and brawl. Cat's coming down though. Rhaegar also in the trails. Let's see if Rhaegar can land the hook here. Oh, and does predict the sidestep and the shutdown going over the Wolfer. Nice hook by Rhaegar. So, this is going to be feats of strength going over, though, to the side of Happy Jellyfish as they get the first turret up top lane, and they were going to get it off the Rift Herald as well. So, nice rotation overall from the squad, sending the bot lane up top for that turret. And they do have the 3 grubs as well. So these turrets will tend to fall quite quickly. Nice lantern coming out of Rhaegar here to get How I Met My ADC out. But we do see before Dawn getting picked off here in the river. He went to go ward up and ran into an Elise cocoon. See Ronan using the ult here onto Quagmire. Quagmire's ult's not up. This would be a great choke point for a Diana ult, but not present. Ronan does end up falling here. Perps does get taken into the death realm by Wolfer. And Wolfer ends up taking that one. So now we have a little more of an even gold lead here. Overall, as Wolfer picks up one. Actually, both of them, I believe he did here. see what happens. Coming up next is we have now Mountain Drake coming up in less than 1 minute here. See if either one of the teams wants to try and fight for control here. Ronan is top lane with TP. Murph having to ult away, but ends up getting hooked here. Though Diana ult comes through, putting out quite a bit of damage here. Regor is going to end up falling. Elise falls. Soka is now trying to ult away here. And Perps does a boatload of damage, actually, with that Eclipse proc. Excuse me. So really big ult by Quagmire to start off that fight and catch 2 out. Mid lane turret will fall from the Rift Herald. Dragon is coming up here in 10 seconds, so we highly expect that Happy Jellyfish will be taking this second dragon here. Wolfer, though, coming in here, grabbing Lulu into the Death Realm after this dragon. Ronan also getting chipped away here on the side. Ronan, though, taking Lulu, but gets flayed out of the Abyssal package. So would have been a very clean escape by Ronan. Grabbing Lulu there. Ends up becoming a 2 for none. So while Dragon goes over to Happy Jellyfish, Misfits does get 2 back. And they're using this tempo to go after Otacon up here in the top side. But I think this is the right call to not keep grinding this out. Because one thing that teams tend to forget, and I even see it in pro play or in high elo play, is Otacon shreds armor and MR. So when you grab that fight, the team that's on Otacon's at a big disadvantage, especially this early into the game. Because I believe it's flat resistances, if I'm not mistaken. So. Alright, while there's a small break point, I'm gonna grab something to drink, because I was dumb and forgot to. Alright, sorry about that. We are back. I don't think I missed, no, I didn't miss anything. Do you see some posturing here in the mid lane? Silver ult still not used yet. Look like that could have potentially been a fight. We do see a little bit of a CS lead growing in the solo lanes here for Misfits. But levels are still roughly the same. Wolfer is up a level. See some posturing here as Happy Jellyfish starts up this Otacon. Let's see if Elise can return the favor from last game. Quagmire gets ulted and smacked around. And we've seen Hecarim ends up taking it, but Misfits looking for this fight afterwards. Double kill coming out of Murph. Triple kill coming out of Murph here. So Sivir left unchecked. See if this is going to be a quadra kill. Going over to Murph Sivir here. They only lost one in the process, so big Otacon fight in favor of Happy Jellyfish here. And with that fight, after taking the Mountain Drake and then the Otacon, they are now almost 4,000 gold ahead here. And the Sivir being 5-1 and 3 is definitely going to spike very hard on this IE. She's really close to completing it. I know she wished she had IE there. You know, still roughly about 600 to 700 away from it. Nice trade here by Soka, though has to burn the ult away as to not get collapsed on. Charm potentially coming back up here. Soka's Charm ends up going just a little short onto Lulu. Ult does fall off. I think it's really hard for Misfits to walk in here. Rhaegar, though, getting a hook on the Murph. No one taking it. Lulu getting jumped on, but soaked up by Ronin here. So now he's trying to just solo frontline this. Quagmire used ult here. Oh, and a nice steal coming out of Elise here. And the impeding fight, Quagmire falls here. Perps takes out Rhaegar. Lulu's going to end up falling here by Elise. Murph trying to fight Wolfer here on the side ends up falling here. And Soka ends up getting one more here. Ace coming out for M Misfits. And now they're looking at this Baron here. And what was a really clutch steal evening up the Dragons for Elise. Only losing Rhaegar in that fight. So overall, this dragon, or this Baron, is going to go over to Misfits. And now they have actually the gold lead by about 800 gold. So a little bit of a back and forth game here as well. So these two teams are scrapping. IE completed by Murph, though. He's going to start hitting real hard. I want to see some defensive stats coming out of Wolfer. Probably a Randuin's Omen, just because Sivir is a crit-based AD carry. Because if he just keeps building squishy, I feel like once Sivir gets some lifesteal here in this fourth item, or even gets shielded and healed before the Death Realm by Lulu, it's going to be very hard for Wolfer to just continue to eat autos from the Sivir. Ronin getting jumped on here after clearing out a pink ward. Gets ignited here. Lulu, though, here. Knock up hitting Rhaegar. Nice flay. Quagmire ends up getting the solo ult, though. And Murph ends up picking up that kill. So now 6 kills on the Sivir here. Sivir's starting to become a little bit of a ticking time bomb. Wolfer having to flash out as Ronan spits him up into the turret. Quagmire, though, flashing away as Wolfer takes him into the Death Realm. Big knockup coming out of Ronan. Well-timed knockup as he came out of the Death Realm. And now, Happy Jellyfish in the gold lead here. Only by 300, so you necessarily don't even call it much of a lead. But still, this is, again, a very back-and-forth game. Oh, look at the damage Cats is taking from this Ricochet here. I'm going to start to get super concerned with Misfits comp, trying to deal with the Sivert. The Rylai's Crystal Scepter coming out on Elise is quite interesting. Top turret ends up going down to Soka, so getting a little bit of gold back here extends it to about 1,000 gold lead. Upgraded boots coming out of Ronan. I think this is really smart out of him. Again, triple AP topside out of Misfits comp, so MR rushes are really good. Mala Malmortius coming out for Hecarim is nice as well. Even Ezreal kind of specs into magic damage a little bit as well. I think it's like, 70-30, more physical heavy, but does have some magic damage there. Kind of seeing a little bit of a brush cheese coming out of Misfits there as the Proto Belt Cocoon coming out of Elise here is quite interesting. Soka soaking up this top side pressure created by Ronan. Both of them do have TP. Hook coming out, though, and Quagmire ends up getting hooked and fallen before this dragon even really starts up. Murph trying to chop down Wolfer. Wolfer, though, ends up fighting back here as he did spec into some armor. It's really, really useful there. Ronan ends up saving Lulu here. And actually, Soka ends up catching the Lulu out after the spit out from Ronan. So, really, really nice fight coming out of Misfits here to pick up this third Drake. Puts them on soul point. That Bramblevest pickup by Wolfer, I think, made the difference in that 1v1 versus Murph. Though we do see Murph now close to completing his Mortal Reminder here as he picked up the last Whisper, so it has a little bit of armor pen now. So Misfits finds himself up about 3k gold. They are on soul point here. So this Mountain Drake pickup is serving them quite well, as now they're speccing into a little more defensive stats. We see the full Thornmail completed by Wolfer here. Ronan, though, coming in to catch a ward, does end up grabbing Elise, and Elise tried to flash to get to the lantern, but also it was going to be impossible for her to click the lantern. I don't know whose ward that was, but putting a ward down on Thresh Lantern to prevent it is one of the better heads-up plays throughout League's history. Ronan, though, kind of fallen, getting chopped there. Quagmire, though, goes in to try and stall Wolfer. Ezreal picks up the kill on the Lulu. Soka is going to end up fighting Murph here as they trade 1 for 1. And Quagmire gets taken into the Death Realm here. So even though Jellyfish grabbed the Baron, they end up losing 3 in that returning fight. Smart on perps there to push the mid lane minions. So Misfits does not have any access to that tier 2. Spear of Shojin completed by perp, so it's definitely going to be pretty threatening to the backline here, as that is a pretty big spike for AD bruisers. So, do you see a lot of the upgraded boots coming out here? Sivir is not upgraded. Look for her to complete that after this Mortal Reminder pick up here. We see Forbidden. No, that's not Forbidden Idol. That is Kendall Gem coming out. So probably another tank item coming for Wolfer. Ezreal completing the Trinity Force and the Shirelda's Grudge. So he's going to be able to put out some poke in these team fights. We see Soka's Charm going to the side here. Regor, though, see if he ends up flashing. I'm sorry, the hook ends up getting used as Zanya's by Quagmire. So, decent sized cooldown getting used there. That's a really pivotal cooldown Quagmire needs to engage these fights. Sitting on double pin and upgraded sword shoes from feats of strength. So Quagmire, if he can catch a couple people in his ult, it's really gonna hurt. So that is a max of 681. I'm sorry. An additional max of 681, so you know, upwards of 800 to 900 damage overall if he catches 2+ people in there. But there is some ways for Misfits to get away from the Diana ults. With Arcane Shift, Repel, Zanya's coming out from Soka. Wolfer can just ult the Diana and take the rest of the ult into the Death Realm here. Wolfer, though, TPing in this bot side here as they are looking to fight for this soul point. Both teams are here posturing ready to go. Ghost available for perps. Dragon has now spawned. Happy Jellyfish pinging this mid lane here, so maybe Quagmire's going to get sent over to threaten this inhib. Misfits, though, transitioning up there. Wolfer getting jumped on, takes perps into the Death Realm. As he has used ult to get over the wall, so ult for ult overall here. Regor, though, getting caught out. Lulu does fall. Cat's getting grabbed up here. Wolfer in the back line. Quagmire ends up falling. Ronan ends up falling. And that's a 2 for 4 overall. And Ezreal put in so much work in this fight. Nice charm coming out of Soka. And that ends up being an ace. So 5 for 2 in favor of Misfits. And they're going to end up grabbing this mountain soul. Yeah, it was really hard for Perps to play that fight after Wolfer ends up ulting him. He had to use the ult to get over the wall and get away from this Mordekaiser. And then after that, his contribution to the fight is extremely limited. Because there's also 2 Rhylight Crystal Scepters and Shirelda's Grudge lowering his movement speed. So Hecarim's damage is very gated on the movement speed. And that is a Spirit Visage now picked up here from Wolfer. So So he is at full build here. We're starting to get close to full builds. Ezreal's about an item and a half away. Soka still trying to complete his death cap here. That'll be him at full build. So he's still about 2k gold away. Seeker's arm guard coming out from Elise. So now she has another method of dodging Diana ults. And with Diana not having decap here, about the 40-minute mark, she's starting to fall off a little bit in the damage department. We'll see what happens here. Walfer getting jumped on, but using the ult on the Quagmire here. Now they're jumping on Quagmire, and they end up taking him out. But we see the rest of the team fight kind of come in. Murph trying to do his best to hit frontline here. Elise having the burn. Zonya's Ronan, though, trying to spearhead the front line. There's just not much damage behind him that's able to happen. Perps ends up diving in as well. And that ends up becoming a 4 for none here. And now Misfits on pace to take this Baron here. It's just becoming very hard for Murph to play a lot of these team fights. You know, he's just taking a bunch of residual damage from other places. It's really, really hard for him to make stuff happen. So look at what we got going on so far here. Misfits up roughly about 8k. They are sitting on a full Mountain Soul here. Full build coming out for Walfer. Elise finished her Shadow Flame. Ari on close to death cap, I would assume. Yeah, getting pretty close to death cap. Cat's quietly having a really good 4-0-15 game. The Ezreal ults through these team fights, especially in the jungle side there, are coming in quite clutch. To where likewise, I think the win con over here for Happy Jellyfish is going to be on Murph and before Dawn, the bot lane. Lulu's got to do what she can to try and keep Murph alive here, but it's really hard with Wolfer's ult separating a lot of the front line or back line, depending on who he presses R on. But I will say Murph does bring quite a bit of wave clear. Oh, nice pick potentially going on the Perps. Redemption coming down, though. Perps ends up running out. So that's Lulu ult, Sivir ult, Hecarim ult, plus Redemption coming down to save the horse. Murph ends up eating a hook there, but not much being able to be capitalized. Mid tier 3 does end up falling here. Wolfer does grab the tier 2 on top side, so them just kind of methodically extending their gold lead here. They're up about 10k now. Excuse me. Do you see Happy Jellyfish though? Having Ronan there as a super tank, trying to create some space there. It looks like they have tempo, or they have positioning, I should say, on this Elder Drake. They haven't started it up yet, but let's see if Quagmire can get a, an effective ult off onto this backline here. It's gonna be hard to get through this Mountain Drake, or this Mountain Soul's shield. But at this point, you gotta try something here. Soka's on the bot side, pushing in this bot wave. You got the 44 mid here. Hook coming out onto Ronin, not the fish you're wanting to grab. See, I think it's still risky for Happy Jellyfish to want to start up this Elder. But Perps does hit it, aggroing it. Murph, though, at full build with the Bloodthirster now. Teams are going to start taking some residual damage from this Elder. Ronin moving forward, though. Sivir does pop ults. Sivir's up into... Oh, he spell shielded the ult! But Soka ends up diving the back line and taking out Murph. Well played by Murph, though. Spell shielding the Mordekaiser ult and ultimately chopping down Mord. Ends up being a 2 for 2 so far here. Let's see what happens on the 3v3. Cat's still in the area, trying to put out some DPS here. Ronin's going to end up getting slowed from the Rylai's. Elise, though, in the backline, taking care of Lulu, and now turning his sights on the Diana. Cat's finally chopping down Tom Kench. And they might pass on the Elder Drake and go for this win. Murph is up in 10 seconds here. I think now you have to go back to Elder. You're not going to be able to wave clear against this Sivir. But Misfits are looking like they're going for the win here. Oh, the hook coming out to Murph. And Murph ends up falling here. And that will be Misfits taking us to a game 3 off a very explosive Elder Dragon fight. Really solid game by Cats on this Ezreal, 7-0-17. But across the board, Misfits had really solid score lines. So, well played for Misfits. So we kind of just look over this. Let me update the overlay here. So we are 1-1 going to game 3. And I'm very excited to look at this overview. Look at how back and forth this kind of got. 3,800 gold lead at 26 minutes. And then 6 minutes later, 5k gold swing. And it just started to snowball from there. So Misfits striking back. Let's go over to our game 3 draft. So we see the Amumu coming out. Mumu kind of falling off favor a little bit. I still think Amumu's a really, really good jungler. I just think teams are prioritizing other more comfy junglers. So we see Misfits then pulling out the Zac, one of my favorite junglers to play as and with. The Zac just has so many unique angles of attack that he's extremely useful. We've seen Happy Jellyfish then go with the pride and true of their bot lane with the Xayah Seraphine. So again, another late game crit based AD carry and an Enchanter support coming out. And Misfits calling out the wild card with the Blitzcrank here. So really wanting to punish the Xayah and the Seraphine, especially in lane. So look at the rounding out the rest of the draft. Misfits ends up grabbing the Echo. So Echo mid coming out for Soka. And then Happy Jellyfish, sorry about that. Coming out with the Rumble and the Cho'Gath. So Rumble Cho'Gath, two AP champs that can punish melees quite heavily. Rumble, um, though not known as a great matchup into Echo, but the Cho'Gath, if that ends up going mid, needs a little bit of time to get online, but then Echo can have a hard time pushing Cho'Gath around, especially a tank variant. And then Ornn coming out here for Misfits. So a little bit of wave clear, a little bit of everything coming out of Misfits. That we're happy Jellyfish again, kind of pulling out a very front to back heavy comp. So let's see what this game three has in store for us. It's overall been a very, very entertaining series. And here we go for game three of this exciting week one series from the Rec League. We got
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Misfits again on red side, Happy Jellyfish G League on blue side.
30 seconds until minions spawn. Minions have spawned.
Quagmire taking a little bit of poke here from Soka already in this laning phase. But Cho'Gath is perfectly fine with taking some bad trades and healing up both the minions. And Quagmire getting poked out quite heavily here. Look at Ronan coming down from top lane, getting a deep ward in. So already seeing that red buff's gone. So no Zac is going top to bottom on the clear.
Courageous Beagle Guard.
Bravery shield.
Quagmire having to flash away from Soka here.
Flammo torpedo.
You see a gank coming out here from Zac. Perps, though, in the area. Quagmire's going to fall to first blood here. Soka potentially going to fall here from Perps. See if he can hit the Q here. Does not, but instead targets now Zac. See if he can't get the Zac passive, but does not. So 2v2 in the mid lane in favor of him and Misfits. Big trade and all-in coming out of Wolfer up top. Ronin, though, having to flash the Ornn ult. So, lots of action in these solo lanes so far this game. And we actually see a little bit of a smart play coming out of Happy Jellyfish with what looks to be a lane swap between the solo lanes here, but this does give Misfits time to grab the Ocean Drake. Rumble has no issues leaning into Echo. It's just when Echo sees him on the side lane after an item or two, then it becomes very, very difficult for Rumble to tank up that much damage. And the Echo passive gets him away pretty quickly. But Quagmire bringing the Grasp of the Undying, I think he's definitely more set up to fight a tank topside. Hook coming out from Rhaegar here onto Seraphine, but return damage coming out of Murph. Rhaegar having to flash away, but Varus ult comes out See if Cats can pick up. Well, Cats does pick up bot side. Amumu, though, ulting off of this grub fight here. Soka is going to end up having to ult backwards. And blue team ends up getting all 3 grubs, even though they are going to lose 2 members. So Feats of Warfare going over to the side of Misfits. Merc's back, gonna get stopped here by LOL Cats. And Murph ends up catching the hands of Rhaegar and falls to the blitz. So Quagmire's still having like a fairly tough time into Walfer here, but again, once Shogath gets some items, this is not going to be too big of an issue.
Spinning flames of fury.
See Soka getting a deep ward there to help out the vision. Oh, Murph getting caught here by Rhaegar, though. We do see the charm and the stun coming out on the Cats from before dawn. And Perp's also down here as well. And a double kill going over to Murph. So big bot lane fight. We do see ganks coming out from Zac here. He ends up burning the ult. Wolfer, though, all in Quagmire up top. And Misfits making plays around the map here. Soka picking himself up a plate. He's most likely going to have full item on the way back. Looks like probably a proto belt first item. Wolfer completing the Hollow Radiance. Not the best source of MR, but considering he's up against 3 melees on the top side of the map, I think the emulsion damage is worth speccing into. Also, unlike last game where Misfits had triple AP topside, we see triple AP topside coming out of Jellyfish. Zac jumping on the perps here. See Ronan trying to create some space here, but ultimately going to be unsuccessful. It looks like perps is going to fall here. But we see Cats picking out before dawn here as well. And that's Zac passive also going down to Ronan here. So again, Misfits just kind of controlling the map. Able to do any and everything that they want to do. Quagmire, though, looks like he's trying to all-in Wolfer. Wolfer pretty low on mana here. Misfits does end up claiming this second dragon here.
Courageous.
Which, if you thought Zach's healing was a pain in the ass to deal with now, imagine with a Chemtech Drake. Soka going for an all-in under the turret here. Has the ult away. I think just using it to create some pressure.
Galactic hyper barrier.
He's slowly chipping away at this turret. We see Heartsteel finally getting done on the Cho'Gath here. He has a lot of avenues to stack it. Soka, though, ends up getting caught by Perps here. And he's probably going to fall here. Perps, or Soka does get a really clutch stun on. And Zach and Ornn have enough damage to drop Rumble here. Shutdown going over to Quagmire, which is desperately what he needed to get going in this game. Murph has lethal tempo just going. Quagmire ulted, I believe, the Rift Herald? But we see Soka TPing back into this fight and having to turn it. And he ends up getting one back onto Perps. And he's going to now get a double kill over on Perps and Quagmire get double killed. So nice nice play overall by Murph there on the flash knockup from Rhaegor. Played that very well. So feats of strength, still sitting out there right now. We know Misfits had feats of warfare. Oh, never mind. Now they were just waiting to get first turret, and Wolfer ends up grabbing that up in the top lane here. So feats of strength going over to Misfits. They've got the first two dragons. They're up by almost 4k gold here onto Happy Jellyfish. But we do see Quagmire. He did end up getting a shutdown there, so that helps kind of accelerate him. Excuse me. Into this mid game. He has a completed Heartsteel, which is pretty simple for him to stack. Merc Treads is also quite useful, so we'll see how this ends up going here. I think he can start to match Soka or Wolfer a lot better in the side lane. And he has 3 grubs plus demolish. Yeah, you don't want to leave him alone with a turret. So Ronan ends up getting stunned up by the Echo W here. Ends up putting out the ult. Perps counter engages with the Amumu ult of his own. Wolfer though TP's in. We see a bot fight between the bot lane before Dawn ends up getting picked out here by Soka. Ronan trying to burn away LOL Cats, but falls short again. Blitzcrank ends up taking that one. Quagmire trying the front line here. He's picking up quite a few Heartsteel stacks, but ultimately he's going to fall. And he ends up getting the Heartsteel bonk into the eat and takes out LOL Cats. Perps gets hooked by Rhaegar, and Murph is the only one left standing here, as now they're going to go after this Infernal Drake. So this fight ends up allowing Misfits to grab this Drake, put them on soul point here at the 20-minute mark. So they're keeping this game pace pretty fast, which ultimately is what they want to do. You have the 80 carry that spikes earlier, against the crit based one. Cho'Gath scales quite well, and Ronin, also the rumble damage in the mid to late game is very, very potent. So keeping this game fast, you have kills onto this Echo, which I think is really where you want this gold to be. LOL Cats has found his way to getting 4 kills as well. So overall, you got the gold allocation you want. You've got this game, paced up the way you want it to be. So this is a really good. We do see them though jumping on the Wolfer here. You have ults on both Perps and Quagmire. I think you threaten Soka there a little bit. So Soka putting down a very aggressive W so far. He's looking very potent on this Echo here. See Happy Jellyfish dropping this Rift Herald that got taken pretty quickly, and now starting up this Otacon here. Perps jumping on the Zac. Oh, big Ornn all by Wolfer. Big knockup as well. You see Perps in the backline ulting. Soka, though, found his way around. Ends up having the ult back quite quickly. Cats dropping potentially the pups here. Soka trying the 1v4 in his backline here, and ends up getting shut down by Quagmire as he munches him. And again, Quagmire picking up an influx of gold from yet again another shutdown. And we see Happy Jellyfish now primed to take this Otacon here. And this puts them back in this game, as now they're only down exactly 1,000 gold.
Let me give you a hug.
We actually see with these 2 shutdowns and some other assisted kills from Quagmire, he's now on 3 items. He's the most fed member in the game. Has the most amount of gold. And it's like not even close actually. He's up by 1,000 gold on the Soka here. So kudos to Quagmire, keeping the mental here after a really rough early game. I think the only thing I will say though about the build is I could see Bramble Vest to a point. You have Blade of the Rune King, you have the Zac healing, so Bramble Vest in a form of anti-healing is useful here, but completing the full Thorn Mail is not the most effective use of it though. So maybe something like an Abyssal Mask, so you could not only get MR, but enhance the damage coming out of Ronin and Pups. I think has quite a bit of use there, but we'll see how this ends up shaping up here. Keep a number onto the Bramble Vest. Right now at 0, but just picked it up. Engage coming from Zach here. Quagmire TPing down to the bot. Zach just slowly getting melted away here. TP coming out of Soka. Now he's kind of behind enemy lines here, but ends up getting away. Oh, but Soka still posturing.
Rising your Phoenix fire.
Perps trying to zone him out. The rest of his team, though, starting up this dragon. This will end up being Soul Dragon for Misfits if they do grab this up. Looks like Happy Jellyfish a little disjointed here. Hook coming on to Quagmire. Soka getting pressured away.
Galactic hyper barrier.
Dragon does reset. Soka having to burn ult. As Ronin just decided to burn him. Zach ends up getting picked out here. Does have passive. Wolfer burning the ult. Trying to do his best to save Zach, but Zach ends up falling. And now Soka getting zoned out by Quagmire. This Echo's starting to have issues trying to enter full 5v5 team comps. He picked up the Lich Bane. I would like to see this Echo side lane a lot more. Threaten turrets in front of some of these tank members. Especially against Ronin. I think Echo's got plenty of damage in the side lane to just win that 1v1.
Let me give you a hug.
Oh, Hook coming out, catching Ronin here. Cat's in the area as well. But ultimately nothing comes of the Hook. Oh, Misfits, though, catching Happy Jellyfish on the back here, wanting to go after this Baron. It's gonna be close. Jellyfish doesn't know they're on it quite yet. Here comes Quagmire, but I think this Baron's gonna end up being gone. See if Quagmire actually comes in, gets hooked away here. Zach ends up picking it up, and now trying to dive the backline here. Soka's getting almost one shot by Quagmire here. He ends up having to ult and flash away. And Misfits come away with the Baron, but lose Regor off of that. So, well worth the trade here. Ahsoka can put a lot of pressure on these side lanes here with this Baron. So let's see if they position him there.
Let me give you a hug.
So now we see this dragon fight getting postured over again, as this would be the soul dragon for Misfits, or see if Happy Jellyfish G League can stall this game out a little bit more. We see 3 items on Xayah here, so if she's allowed to play this fight, she can definitely chop down some of these tanks. Wolfer launching the ult out, Soka eating forward here. Zad getting jumped on here, Hook coming out, Murph getting caught out. Charm coming out here, big stun coming over. Soka though taking out Ronin. Perps though trying to turn onto the back line. And before Dawn ends up taking Rhaegar, Soka though ends up finishing what was left of Perps. All coming out from Soka, but no meaningful damage put out. Wolfer though trying to clean up. Cat's kind of the one left over. Soka ends up sniping out Seraphine here. And it looks like Katz is going to be able to clean. Well, never mind. He just became Cho'Gath's dinner. Let's see. Soka ends up getting a clutch W shield here. And Wolfer ends up taking out Quagmire. And Soka played that fight beautifully on this Echo, weaving in and out. So, this is going to end up being an Infernal Soul over to the side of M and Misfits. So they definitely look primed to take this game 3 here. Up about 1,700 gold. Not the biggest gold lead, but the stats getting from Dragons is coming in clutch. Orin items also coming into play, as we see him already upgraded Varys' items. And I believe has another upgrade available. If I'm not mistaken here. He does not. So upgraded the Spirit Visage. We do see Rhaegar potentially getting caught out. Murph getting jumped on by Soka here. Soka eating forward to get the stun on the Ronin, but then flashing away here. Well, we see Misfits starting up this Baron here. Let's see what Happy Jellyfish does to respond. Ronin TPing away. They're going to peel off this Baron. They got the TP out of... Oh, no, Quagmire keeps it aggroed here, but now they're finally off of it. I think Soka, honestly, can threaten this mid lane turret. You have Lichbane. Like, you chop these turrets down quite fast. You can just exit through the bot side jungle as well. Hook on wide here for Rhaegar.
Shock rockets.
Wolfer looking to get an ult off to Ronin. Zac, though, knocking up Quagmire. Quagmire's in the middle of this. Seraphine ult comes out. Murph gets hooked by Rhaegar. Pulls back the feathers onto the front line here. Cat's just kind of chipping away at the rest of these guys. Two fallen for both sides. Zac coming in. Wolford low. Seraphine falls. Cats ends up taking out Perps. And Quagmire is the only one left here. See if he can't get on. And that's a quadra kill for this Orin here. What a big explosive fight here. Ahsoka and Rhaegar, the only two that fell here for Misfits. Cat's being alive, he was allowed to just lethal tempo and chip his way through all of this fight. So we see them now taking the Baron here. See, again, a few more Orin items coming into play. Storm Surge upgraded for Ahsoka. So, Storm Surge, I believe, if my memory is correct, is one of the more efficient ones. Yeah, 140 AP is a massive, massive stat stick. So, he should be... He's close to getting a needlessly large wand. Definitely needs to accelerate that death cap here. I do like the Void Staff early pickup. Ult's on the Quagmire, but doesn't get much damage out. Quagmire is a big beefy frontline tank here. An Elder Dragon coming up. Elder Dragon at 37 minutes is quite a fast-paced dragon here. So we do see Happy Jellyfish getting prio over this mid lane, so Misfits will have to respond to it. Let's see if they can get a pick with some of this disjointedness. Rhaegar clearing some vision. Mid lane tier 2 most likely going to fall here, and it does fall, so Happy Jellyfish getting a little bit of gold and pressure off of that. At this point, this could be a game-ending fight here, especially with the Elder Drake. So we see Jellyfish having a decent amount of presence here. Quagmire aggroing this Elder Drake, so taking a little bit of chip damage. Wolfer launching the ult here, ends up hitting 2. Zac diving onto the back line, trying to get access to Murph. Ahsoka ends up trying to stun Murph, but Murph's ult ends up saving him there. And Cats is just chopping away at this front line here. Cats was just left completely untouched in that fight, so he chopped away at Perps and Quagmire quite quickly, while Murph had to deal with Ahsoka in the back line. This looks to be an end angle for Misfits here. Before dawn is up, but everybody else is 10 seconds past here, so this is going to be Misfits taking game 3 here against Happy Jellyfish G League. And a very impressive week 1 performance, honestly, from both teams. You know, it was a very back and forth 3-game banger. So very, very happy at what I see from both teams here. I do like a lot of the stuff that Misfits threw in the draft. Stuff like the Morgana mid, Silas top. But I do love that Happy Jellyfish is very consistent and very good at what they do when it comes to drafting these front to back team comps here. So probably some execution that they could work on, but overall, um, really, really solid team play from Happy Jellyfish here. So glad we could get this out to you guys. I meant to do it last night, but again, it is my wife's birthday this weekend, so um, yeah, had had some other priorities end up happening. But I will go ahead and close this down. I appreciate the guys that came in chat. I seen Soka and Cats kind of viewing the little bit of the stream here. So glad to have you guys in the league, and hopefully we'll see a lot of you guys in the future. We're going to try and do our best to cast the games for the rest of the season here. Maybe again not live, but trust me, the intent is they will be up there. But yeah, both teams again played really well. I'm super excited to see the rest of the league go at it. We had another 3 game banger, uh, same night as this one, and we also had a 5 game banger from the Sweat League. So, like I said, all of these will be uploaded very soon. We'll try to get them out at around Monday. I might actually just export them now so they'll be live on YouTube. Why don't we do that? So here in probably the next hour or two, these games will be on YouTube. But if you guys are bored tomorrow night, we will have 2 returning teams in Capachungus Deluxe versus Bop It, Twist It, Gank It tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. as both those teams debut here in the Rec League. So until then, we will see you guys. Thanks again.